Welcome students. This is module 1 for unit 3 petrology. In this module we will be seeing introduction to rocks and its types. My name is Sarath Kumar. I am working as an assistant professor in Department of Civil Engineering, GC Dharmangri. I have attached my mail ID here. If you have any doubts or queries, you can send it to this mail ID. In this module we will be seeing what is petrology, what is rock classification based on geological formation, classification within major rock types, and we will be seeing igneous, sedimentary and metamorphic rocks with its formation, classification and various structure, rock cycle, importance of petrology in civil engineering field. So first, what is rock? Aggregated solids of minerals is called rock. A rock may be defined as an unit of the earth crust. As we have seen in the structure of earth, the topmost layer crust, it is made up of rocks. All rocks are made up of two or more minerals, but minerals are not made up of rocks. Mineral is the basic unit. Two or more minerals combine together to form rocks. Petrology. Petrology deals with the study of rocks. Petro means rock. Logos, study. So study of rock is petrology. In petrology, we will be studying origin, association, occurrence, mineral composition, texture, structure, physical properties and uses of various rocks. There are numerous classifications of rocks. One of the most popular classification is based on geological formation. There are three main types of rocks. Igneous. It is formed directly from the molten material. Sedimentary. These are also called secondary rocks, formed by the consolidation of sediments in the layered or bedded rocks deposited in the ocean bottom or huge lakes. Metamorphic rocks. Changed by the effect of heat and pressure. So within this major rock types, there is classification. There is also classification. For example, igneous rocks are classified mainly into two subdivisions: intrusive rocks and extrusive rocks, whereas sedimentary rocks are classified into clastic and non-clastic rocks. In non-clastic sedimentary rocks, there are two classifications, namely chemical and biological sedimentary rocks, whereas metamorphic rocks are subdivided into foliated rocks and non-foliated rocks. Example for this type of rocks are given below. We will be seeing in detail in the following slides. So what is igneous rocks? Broadly, all rocks which are formed from an original hot molten material through the process of cooling and crystallization are defined as igneous rocks. Hot molten material occurring naturally below the surface of earth is called magma. When it comes to the surface of the earth, it is flowing, which is called as lava. Some pictorial representation for igneous rocks are shown in the slide. So as I told, igneous rocks are classified into extrusive rocks and intrusive rocks. Extrusive rocks are also called volcanic rocks. Igneous rocks are formed by the cooling and crystallization of lava erupted from volcanoes. As lava cools down at a faster rate, the grain size of crystals is fine and often microscopic. The Deccan Traps of India, spread over more than 4 lakh km, is best example of volcanic igneous rocks. Some example of this extrusive type of rocks are basalt, rhyolite, dacite and trachytes. So when due to some volcanic eruption, when the molten material comes out of the earth's surface, and once it reaches the earth's surface, the temperature cools down and it starts to cool down. Since it starts to cool at a very rapid rate, the crystals form will be very fine, and such rock formation is called extrusive rocks or volcanic rocks. The next type is plutonic rocks or intrusive rocks. Rocks which are formed at a considerable depth, generally between 7 to 10 km below surface, are called as plutonic rocks. Here the temperature below the Earth's surface at 7 to 10 km is higher and the rate of cooling will be very slow. Since the rate of cooling is very slow, the grains formed are coarser in nature. Example of these types of rocks are gabbro, granites and charnokites. There is also one other subdivision of igneous rocks called hyperbasalt rocks. These are formed at intermediate stage below the Earth's surface. Rocks that formed at considerable depths up to 2 km. They show mixed character of volcanic and plutonic rocks. Example of this type of rocks are porphyries with different compositions. Textures of igneous rocks. Based upon the degree of crystallization, the igneous rocks are classified as holocrystalline, holohyaline and microcrystalline. Based upon granularity, the igneous rocks are classified into coarse, medium and fine. Similarly, based on the structure, fabric nature, the igneous rocks are classified into anidomorphic, allotromorphic, hypidomorphic, etc. These are some pictorial representation of various types of igneous rocks, various textures of igneous rocks based on degree of crystallization. The top figure is holocrystalline, the top right figure is microcrystalline, whereas the bottom figure is holohyaline. Various structures of igneous rocks. Structure due to mobility of magma. The various structures formed are flow structure, pillow structure, ropey lava, spherulitic structure. Due to cooling of magma, the various structures seen in igneous rocks are jointing structure, vesicular structure, meteoritic structure, and some miscellaneous structures are reaction rings and synolithic structure. What are the various forms of igneous rocks? In extrusive type of igneous rocks, the forms are fissure eruption and central eruption, whereas in intrusive type of igneous rocks, the various formations are silts, dikes, lopoliths, laccoliths, paccoliths and batholiths. As shown in the figure below, when the molten magma tries to come out of the Earth's interior, it fills the cavity inside the Earth's surface. The horizontal fills are called sill, whereas the vertical fills are called dike. When there is large amount of molten lava settle inside and cools down to form a rock, it is called batholith. Similarly, lopoliths and laccoliths are shown in the figure below. The next type of rock is sedimentary rocks. Sediments are the products of weathering. Since these are secondary materials derived from pre-existing rocks, the rocks formed out of them are called sedimentary or secondary rocks. The origin of sedimentary rocks is totally related to the weathering influence of rocks. Example of these type of rocks are shale, sandstone, conglomerate, flint and limestone. Once the primary rocks like igneous rocks are subjected to weathering, it disintegrates and the disintegrated particles, which are called as sediments, will be transported by natural agencies and deposited in some other places. Once this deposition takes place over a long time, these sediments clubbed together using cementitious material and forms rock. These type of rocks are called sedimentary or secondary rocks. Example of such type of rocks are shown in this slide. Formation. As I told, the weathering of pre-existing rocks, that is igneous rocks, either by physical breakup into finer and finer fragments or precipitation of crystals out of solution. This weathering process we have seen in detail in first unit. Usually, the particles are broken down further during this transport phase. Sediments become liquefied or turned to rock. Some rocks forms when water evaporates and minerals left behind. Fossils are often found in sedimentary rocks. Plants and animals are caught in the layers of sediment and leave an imprint in the rock. So in this type of sedimentary rocks, it is very common to see fossils engraved in the sedimentary rocks. Sedimentary rocks are classified into two types, clastic rocks and non-clastic rocks. First, we will see clastic rocks. Clastic sedimentary rocks are rocks which are composed predominantly of broken pieces or class of old weathered and eroded rocks. Here, the rocks are formed from the broken pieces of the parent rock. Such type of rocks are called clastic rocks. And example of such type of clastic rocks are conglomerate, shale, sandstone, breccia. The second type is non-clastic rocks. The previous clastic type of rocks generally form when there is a physical weathering, whereas non-clastic rocks formed when the weathering is of chemical nature. Chemical sedimentary rocks forms when mineral constituents in solution become supersaturated and inorganically precipitate. Common chemical sedimentary rocks include oolitic limestone and rocks composed of evaporate minerals such as halite, slivite, barite and gypsum. So here, due to chemical weathering, the parent rocks get dissolved and forms new sedimentary rocks. There is also one more type in these non-clastic rocks, in which the organic means dead animal and plants gets deposited and upon sedimentation forms rocks. Example of those type of rocks are coal. So example of non-clastic chemically formed rocks are limestone, halite, chert. Sedimentary rocks classification based on grade size. Rhodaceous. Example of this type of rock is conglomerate. It will be loosely cemented heterogeneous material consisting of cobbles and pebbles. Whereas breccia, another type of sedimentary rock, it will be coarser cemented angular fragments. The next type is arenaceous. Example of this type is sandstones. Weathered sand sediments after natural compaction forms sandstones. So sandstone is nothing but weathered sand particles get sedimented upon compaction forms sandstones. The next type is ferruginous, red brown color sandstone. It is also a type of sandstone, whereas the presence of iron containing minerals is there as cementation. Siliceous. Sand grains are cemented with quartz, calcareous, cemented with next type is calcareous, cemented with calcareous material. The last type of this arsenious deposits are aqueous. It is sandstone with 40% quartz and 60% quartz and 40% feldspar. The next type is argillaceous. Example of this type of sedimentary rocks is shale. It is a laminated rock. The next type is calcareous. It is limestone with 93% calcium carbonate and 5% magnesium carbonate. It is whitish in color. The next one is dolomite. It is reverse of limestone. It will be in blackish color. The next type is carbonaceous. Example of this type of sedimentary rocks are peat, lignite, bituminous and anthrazite. Sedimentary rocks structure. Since sedimentary rocks are formed due to the deposition of sediments, layer by layer structure is seen in the sedimentary rocks. The first structure is called stratification, a layered arrangement in sedimentary rock. Different layers are also called beds or strata, may be similar or dissimilar. When these layers are very thin in nature, it is called lamination. Based upon the alignment of these layers, the structure of sedimentary rocks are classified into cross bedding, graded bedding, mud cracks and ripple marks. So in cross bedding, layers lying above one another are not parallel, having inclined relation. Graded bedding, sediments are arranged according to their grain size. Mud cracks, having many fine-sized grains with irregular cracks. Ripple marks, symmetrical wave-like undulations in a layer. The remaining part of this module we will be seeing in the next video. Thank you.